So let's start with the poem. Continue with the third stanza of the poem At Grass by Philip Larkin. Now, as we've already discussed earlier, that the poem talks about so many things related to nature, of course, and of course, a kind of affinity uh, the horses have with the grass. I think they very well understand. Now, in the third stanza, let's see what Larkin says. Skill silks at the start, against the sky, numbers and parasols outside, squadrons of empty cars in heat, and littered grass, then the long cry, hanging unhushed till it subside, to stop press columns on the street. Now, here in the third stanza, Larkin, I feel, has made up a number of other bursts of memory. You know, these are the things the speaker believes the horses might remember about the past. There was a sky, the start of the race, and all the people looking on. Now, Larkin here also takes note of the parasols carried by women and a huge number of empty cars outside the racetrack. Everyone watched with these horses competed. Towards the end of the stanza, we can visualize an image of the crowd cheering on the race. The sound hung over the track unhushed until the race was over. So this is what happens in the third stanza. Now let's come to the fourth one. Two memories plague their ears like flies. They shake their heads, dusk brim the shadows. Summer by summer all stole away. The starting gates the crowd and cries, all but the unmolesting meadows. All men act, their names live, they. So here he leaves the stanza incomplete and then he continues what exactly he wants to say in the fifth one. So here in the fourth stanza, the speaker wonders over what the horses are actually remember of the past and what impact it has on their lives nowadays. Initially, he thinks that perhaps they are plagued by the memories of a human would be. Maybe the thoughts of past fame felt around the horses' minds like flies around their ears. And see the beautiful comparison he makes. And he's just imagining that the horses are thinking the same as human beings think. So he says that maybe the thoughts of the past fame flit around the horses' minds like flies around their ears, unceasing and eventually annoying. Quickly changing this mind, the poet now talks about these lines of thought. He says he does not actually believe the horses are bothered by the lives they used to live. They are able to shake off the past and live in the present. They are much concerned with the natural world around them. So here, Larkin says summer by summer means he's gone by and stolen away the sounds of the crowds cheering. The only thing that's left is what they have now, the unmolesting meadows. Their names have been almanaced or filed away from and allowed to live on far from the horses themselves. So this is what exactly the philosophy, also a bit of Larkin, we find in this poem At Grass. And let's come to the last stanza of this poem. Have slipped their names and stand at ease, or gallop for what must be joy, and not a field glass sees them alone, or curious stopwatch prophecies. Only the grooms and the groom's boy with bridles in the evening come. So now let's see what he talks about in the fifth stanza. In the fifth stanza, the poet here emphasizes the fact that by stating that the horses have managed to slip, escape, or in other words, you can say managed to slip their names, they have been shrugged off their fame and are now able to stand at ease, away from the crowds. He presents this was being an entirely good change in their circumstances and interprets all the actions in support of this particular conclusion. So here we can say that he sees them move it must be with joy. They have much greater freedom now than they've had known before. So there are no stopwatch prophecies or rules and obligations. As you already know that the race horses have to go a lot of things. They are kept under great restrictions. They are bound to stopwatches. They are bound to various kinds of prophecies and betting that has been done on these horses by the rich people and the rich men. So in fact, all these things create a problem. And of course, it takes away the emancipation, the freedom. And every creature in this world on earth likes freedom. So now the only people they interact with are the grooms and the groom's boy. They come in the evening with bridles to guide the horses back to the barn for the night. Although the horses are not completely free, the speaker clearly sees the transition from the racetrack to the pasture as a marked improvement. So, again, we can say that the poem ends on a beautiful positive note, a note of optimism, when Larkin says that no matter what these horses had gone through as race horses, it could be that you have the pros and cons of everything, you have the pleasures, and you have the setbacks too. But here he says that they have returned back to the pastures, and they are no longer there's a huge transition, a change from the racetrack. They have come back to the pastures, and there is a huge amount of improvement that has been found here in this in the behavior and attitude. So this is what the poem ends. Thank you so much. We'll continue with another poem in the next class.